Hi everybody, I'm Morgan Crosbie from Finch Chevrolet in London, Ontario, Canada, and you're watching Cars and Crosbie. I had to shoot this video as soon as I possibly could. This is raw excitement in its fullest right now. We already have some amazing news that you're going to hear about with the Z06. We had our first one land, and I thought that was going to be what I was filming for the most part today. But we just had some breaking news on Corvette Blogger and Mid-Engine Corvette Forum with the E-Ray. I am just so excited. If you guys know, I don't really like to spread rumors and you know, play around in the sandbox with these types of things until I know the raw facts. And thanks to the breaking story, the E-Ray is real. And I thought it would be a really great idea to just print off the article and let's go through it together. And then I can give you guys some feedback, being a Corvette dealer and a Corvette specialist, on how I interpret it, and then you guys can comment in the channel and we can start an open conversation similar to what you're going to have on Corvette Forum, but at least you get to hear my side of it and also some things that I think will give you some valuable insight, because right now we've just been told all this information and now the rumor mills can even go further into the gray. And I want to set things straight on today's episode, all related to the new Corvette E-Ray. Okay, if you guys already haven't checked it out, this is the article from Corvette Blogger. Take it, read it, embrace it. This is real and it's happening. The visualizer was accidentally leaked. Some individual was clicking on the 24 model year and all of a sudden the E-Ray came up. You'll see that there is an E-Ray logo, which is blue. You'll see that it is in the wide body Z06 format, which is also really great. It does confirm that this is going to be kind of like the Grand Sport in terms of, in terms of it having more of an aggressive appeal and wide body stance, but still having that really cool new green friendly Goldilocks approach. I use the word Goldilocks quite a bit when I talk about the Grand Sport and the E-Ray, mainly because it's the sweet spot in my opinion. You're getting a lot of the bests of a lot of different things, and that's one of the biggest things that I honestly think General Motors is becoming known for most. You know, a lot of car companies will try to make sure that they can have their brand be identified by having very recognizable traits on their vehicles. And I think one of the best things that General Motors has been doing in the recent years is they've been making vehicles that are very broad. They're very broad in terms of their applications. There's a lot of depth and capability with them. And, you know, I've talked about it with the Cadillac V in terms of it having 682 horsepower, but still being a family vehicle that I can go Crispy shopping with my family. And on the new application with my AT4X, having the ability to have an off-road capable suspension but still be able to drive in the city in a normal manner. That is something that we are doing a very good job at. You know, we don't make one-trick ponies. We make vehicles that are capable for a real-life application that can then specialize and feature a specific new component. And when you really start to think about General Motors making vehicles that can adhere to your lifestyle, this is going to be one that I think a lot of people probably didn't expect to be the one that fits their lifestyle the most. Or maybe I'm talking in that kind of frame because this is what I am waiting for. So I have taken a seat back on the Z06. That's why I haven't been filming a lot of content on it. We do have one here. I do have a lot of videos that I'll be shooting on that in the very near future. And not to say that I'm biased and I'm not going to, you know, feature Z06 content. It's just that I'm all in on this. I'm putting my chips down on the E-Ray. And I think that this is going to be a winner. If you look at the C7 generation with the Grand Sport and you look at what the Grand Sport did, it really checked a lot of boxes without making any sacrifices. When you get into certain trim levels like the ZR1 or the Z06, it was a traction limited vehicle with having so much torque that you couldn't apply, and having the naturally aspirated engine was really helpful. With this one being all-wheel drive with electric drive assist, you're getting a lot more benefits that are going to even out a lot of the stats and kind of help out in making a more well-rounded vehicle with a more well-rounded experience, in my honest opinion. Without even driving it, I can just tell you that from driving electric vehicles. if you guys are just following along, the drive unit is going to be in the front of the Corvette, which means that there will not be a drive line between the front and the rear of it. And that area has been hollowed out over the last few years. I'm talking about them putting the ECU and stuff in a different area now as opposed to where it was on my 2020 model year. And they're making it so that that can then have the batteries inside of it. This is stuff that makes a lot of sense if you just think about where it's going to go. I haven't heard this from anybody. I'm not trying to leak any information. I'm always going to be taking my Corvette knowledge from just seeing how General Motors operates and hearing in on, you know, certain things and then applying them. So you're not going to hear any leaks on here. And I'm doing that for obvious reasons. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds, but I can apply some logic and allowing you guys to be able to kind of jump to some conclusions about where they're going with this. So if they're going to make an electric vehicle, it obviously makes sense for them to have it in the front. It obviously makes sense also from a cost perspective to just leave the naturally aspirated V8 engine in the back, which this visualizer confirms with the photos of the engine bay showing an LT2. So it's going to have the LT2 in the back with, we're assuming, 495 horsepower with the ZER performance package. I'm sure that the base model might have the higher output motor, which was 485 as opposed to the 495. There's a lot of reasons why this is an amazing thing to have. Insurance companies, for example, right now are really starting to draw a line in the sand in terms of deductibles over a certain horsepower outputage. In Canada, for example, anything over 500 horsepower can only have a $5,000 deductible. It's also for price points as well. That to me is a really convenient thing to have. I really think that, you know, having the ability for it to have an electric vehicle component is also going to make it a lot better in terms of performance off the line. With it being an all-wheel drive vehicle, it's going to have that acceleration that will probably give us the fastest 0 to 60 out of any of the Corvettes that you're going to see until there may be an electric version of the Z06 down the road. You know, just having all four wheels being able to accelerate is really going to assist in giving you that initial torque off the line that's going to help out with your 0 to 60 time. So that, I think, is going to be a really great showstopper in terms of launching it and getting something that's going to be under, you know, 2.5 seconds probably. It would be my guess. I don't know the total power output, but I would assume that they're going to use the drive units from the Lyric, which was, I think, around 185 horsepower. I'll find out the exact amount and I'll put it in the bottom of this video. But that would likely be the same thing. General Motors is not being lazy. They over-engineer items so that they can apply it to other things. And the Ultium platform and how they've structured these little sandwiches and being able to format them into any kind of size and shape is genius. You know, you don't have to make a battery for every single vehicle. You can just take these module units that they call either toast or pancakes. Pancakes are when they're flat and they're on top of each other in a flat stacked format, and then the toast versions are when they're up on their sides. I would assume with there being a tunnel through the Corvette that we're likely going to have a toast format for the Ultium batteries, meaning that they're going to be in a rectangular upwards vertical format all throughout the tunnel of the vehicle, as opposed to a pancake, which is wider. The tunnel on the Corvette is not as wide as I know that the pancake batteries are. And this is just through raw experience. So I'm not trying to put a feather in my hat right now, but with me being so inept on every single angle of General Motors, and General Motors being a company that is very efficient in terms of being able to come up with an idea and mass producing it for a lot of different applications, this is where I really can shine. You know, with me having all four brands, I can take bits and pieces from other pieces that we're R&Ding and have them come out. Because as you know, once a new piece of technology comes out, it's staggered. You know, there's new products that are coming out all the time, and whenever there's a new vehicle that's coming out with that product, you know, you're going to see it come out on that vehicle first, but it might obviously come out on something else down the road. And so taking it from that and bringing it into another product is what I'm trying to do here. So we're thinking about the idea of there being toast Ultium platform batteries through the tunnel of the E-Ray. We're thinking about it having the drive unit, which is probably going to be a dual motor drive unit, one for each wheel in the front. It could be one motor, which I'll also put the horsepower output for that, which is already well known as there being different variants of the Ultimate powertrains, or sorry, Ultium powertrains. So that is really easy for us to be able to get a realistic horsepower output on this. I'm assuming that it's going to be in and around the 6 to 750 horsepower range. If you take 495 as being the base LT2, and then add, you know, around 180 to 200 horsepower in the E capabilities, that is where you're going to look out. So you're rated already on the lines of where the Z06 is. And then colors. This is really where, oops, sorry guys. This is really where I am the most excited, because this is already going to hint towards what the 24 model year colors are going to be for the Corvette. So using some of the photos, like this one right here, you can see that we have Cacti, Seawolf Gray, Tri-Coat, and Riptide Blue Metallic as the 3 new colors for the 24 model year. We're losing my color, Ceramic Matrix Gray, RIP. I'm sad about that. We're losing the Pearl White Cadillac G1W Tri-Coat color. And then we're also losing Caffeine, which we already knew that was going to be the case. And we're gaining an interior color, as you can see as well, called Artemis. So Artemis is the new interior, and then we have 3 new colors. Now, cross-referencing different vehicles, here is where I come to shine as well. This is the 2024 Chevrolet Trax. And when I did some sleuthing on GM Media for the press release, guess what? That's Cacti. Cacti is already going to be a color that we can see. And here, as you guys can see, is what Cacti looks like in different kinds of lighting, and also using the undulations for something that I really like to focus on, which is the travel. I have already filmed and was in the process of editing a video documentary for General Motors on making a green Corvette. And my wishes and my prayers have been answered before I could even come out with the video. There's going to be a green Corvette, and it's a stylish kind of earthy green. This to me is a serious contender for the color of what I'm going to be doing for my E-Ray. I'm getting an E-Ray. I've said this for a long time. I'm skipping the Z06, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so pumped about this, is because day one of me now being able to know that Santa Claus is real and that we're getting an E-Ray, this is me talking to you guys right now about it. And that's why I'm so pumped to film this right now, because I'm just thinking out loud like you guys are. This Cacti color, I think green is in. I'm looking at this as being a longer term vehicle that I'm going to drive, because I was already insinuating that I'm trying to look at maybe getting a C7 manual Grand Sport to have as a wild child daily driver, and then to have this as my fun, you know, vehicle. So if that's the case, I'm thinking about it standing the test of time. Do I think that Cacti is going to stand the test of time? Greens have not done well historically with General Motors as being a long-term vehicle. I think that this is a very classy, subtle green. I think that it will very much replicate what we see on the Escalade Cadillac lineup with the new dark emerald green metallic, in terms of it having a lot of depth and character with not being too ostentatious. We are talking about this being an E-Ray, which is a green vehicle, which in Ontario, for example, has green plates. So to have a green Corvette with green plates that is a green vehicle for the environment in a way, I think there's kind of something there that I'm running with. If you guys want to comment about that, please do it. I'm asking for some opinions on that kind of angle. And then you just got to take myself and my example of my track record and my affinity for green or gray. I'm wearing gray right now. First Corvette that I ever bought was Watkins Glen Gray. You could technically say that Ceramic Matrix Gray was that. You could also say that my Tahoe SS was an evergreen gray metallic. I had a gray ATS in Phantom Gray. I like gray. It's a very great color, and we now have a tint coat gray. So that's different. Sorry, this is a tri-coat gray. Sorry, not a tint coat. A tri-coat gray. It's called Sea Wolf Gray Tri-Coat. So Sea Wolf Gray is going to be replacing the tri-coat, which was the diamond white, the 70th anniversary white. This is what it looks like on the visualizer. We know that that's not going to be anywhere even close to it, because just for reference, this is what the the new Cacti was supposed to look like in the visualizer, and it looks nothing like that. But Seawolf Gray. Now, so this to me is important to just make sure that everyone's on the same page with. Tri-coats are 3 coats. There's going to be a heavy metal flake in here in the middle of this, and it's going to have a lot of depth. Think of Red Mist Metallic. That is your other tri-coat. Sorry, that's a tint coat. I'm sorry, that is not a tri-coat. I don't think that we have another tri-coat right now. I think that was the only one. I'm torn between doing either the Seawolf Gray or the Cacti. That's all I'm going to say about my personal opinion on it. I have very good photos from GM Media of what Cacti is going to look like. I haven't found anything yet on Seawolf Gray. We'll find out. And then last is Riptide Blue, which is replacing Elkhart Lake Blue. This to me looks like a little bit darker version of Elkhart Lake. I have heard rumors that it's also going to be on the Equinox. I haven't finalized if that's true or not, and I will update you guys on that. Colors and design is my forte. That is really where I like to really consider myself to be an expert, and I really get a kick out of being able to see new colors and stuff, because my mind is racing right now in terms of what's going to go on, you know, with the new wheel designs, and then having a new interior and how that's going to contrast with the insides to the outside like I always do, because I want to come up with a consistent design language. My whole goal when I'm designing a vehicle for you guys is to make it look like this was something that came from the factory as a design edition. I want this thing to be complete in terms of how it looks when you look at it. Nothing stands out. It always kind of, it fits the bill, and not having anything that stands out too much. And it will also fit your lifestyle. So if that, you know, is something that you're interested in having me accustomed to, then I'm all for that. And I'm going to be really focusing in on that more than anything in the next few weeks, in terms of trying to figure out more about these colors and getting, you know, photos to reference. This Cacti, I couldn't ask for anything better than that. The other thing that you can get is spy photos and stuff like that, which eventually will come out. But you'll bet, you know, the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be driving to the first place I can find one of these colors, because seeing it in different lights is really going to give me a lot of context on how I can design and use this. I'm thinking mainly about Seawolf Gray, because it's going to be a tri-coat. I want to really see what kind of travel is going to come with that paint, and what that's going to mean for the color down the road. So those are things that I'm very interested in looking more into. I'm thinking that Artemis with the Seawolf Gray would be a really cool combination. I don't know if Cacti on Artemis, having 2 greenish hues together, will look good. But already I'm very enamored with the new colors, and I can pretty much guarantee you that when I get my E-Ray, it'll be using the new colors in it. I'm pretty much dead set on the Artemis for the interior. And then I'm just looking at what it's going to be either between the Seawolf Gray or the Cacti, and I'd love to get your feedback. So the last big piece of information comes at the bottom of all these visualizer cues, and it says that available summer 2023. I can tell you guys from people that I've talked to and from this that is real. And I mean that in a way that I'm very scarred with expectations for customers. I really do not like to set an expectation that's not realistic and that doesn't come about. It makes me look like an idiot, and it lets everybody else down. I really think that from what I've heard, there is a lot of good evidence to point out that this is going to be something that will likely be 6 to 8 months away from here. And if that's the case, it does put a saving grace. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm so excited in my logic in getting rid of my Stingray in the fall, and then riding it out with the Cadillac V over the winter, and then having to go springless without a Corvette, but then getting an E-Ray in the summer. I knew that this was going to be a car to get, and so I put my name down right away. I think there was one other individual that did it right around the same time as I did, and I'm very, very excited about getting on this as being an early adopter, because I really do think that this is going to be a winner. Thinking out loud as well, you've got now 3 models that we've confirmed are going to be built in the same factory, and I'm concerned, to say the least, about what's going to happen for the allotment on the Stingray. The way I see it is, and I can apply this logic through other brands that I sell, like the full-size SUVs, we get more Escalades than we do Tahoes because the Escalades are a more loaded, profitable unit for General Motors. And I would have to think that the E-Ray is going to probably follow the same suit in terms of them wanting to focus on fully loaded versions of the E-Ray and the Z06 or Z06 instead of looking at 1LT Stingrays coming through the shop. We've had 3.5 years of production of the Stingray. There's a lot of people now that I see that are trading in a Stingray and getting another one. I think that it's only fair that we try to appease to the people that still have not got a Corvette and that have maybe been waiting out for an E-Ray. I can think of about 20 people on my list that have been deferring from getting a Stingray, knowing that they want to get an E-Ray. And this is their shining moment to finally be able to get it. They've been waiting for years. I've had my waiting list since 2019. So there are some people that have been on my list for 2 to 3 years, and they're still being patient, waiting for what we are just announcing today. So this is just a huge weight off of my shoulders in terms of no longer having to speculate, being able to start digging my teeth into starting to look at the design of what these new colors are going to be like. Learning more about the performance and stuff like that will come in due time. I think it'll speak volumes for itself in the fact that it's an all-wheel drive vehicle that has an electronic assist that already has a tried and true platform in the back. So unlike the Z06, we're not having to try to be cautious about having a new powertrain and what the longevity and the durability of that powertrain is going to be like, because we already have a tried and true powertrain and we already have an over-engineered Ultium platform that's going to this. We will have cool new buttons like regenerative braking. It does look like we're going to also have some carbon fiber and stuff like that inside of it. And I'm just ecstatic. This to me is everything that I was hoping for, and it makes me so proud to know that I'm part of this whole experience with General Motors. I really can't stress enough how important it is to have vehicles that can apply themselves to a lot of different applications and to not focus in on one specific thing. This magnetic ride control system has the dynamic capability of you being able to turn this car into a grand touring vehicle, into a track monster. Having that broadband and that ability is something that General Motors is, in my opinion, at the top echelon of doing. And I don't think that they get enough praise on that. I really do think when you look at car manufacturers and you look at what their flagship models are, they're very specific in what they do. When you look at what General Motors is doing, it's very amazing to me to think that these vehicles are not one-trick ponies and that you can turn it into a daily driver, or you can do a 0 to 60 in something that usually would have cost $1 million to do in a vehicle previously before these. You know, I'm already saying that before I know what the 0 to 60 on this is, but it has to be less than what the Stingray is, especially because it's all-wheel drive and it has electric engines in the front, motors. So that is all for now. I've got to go now down to film the Z06, which is at Scotty's Shine Shop, getting PPF done to it. So I'll have that episode out for you guys this weekend. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. This is all, you know, straight from the horse's mouth, live, happening today, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to hear what you guys have to say, and I'm so excited for what this summer has in store for us. Stay tuned for more awesome content. I'm Morgan Crosbie, and happy motoring.